People hate this man. They despise him. It's so sad. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Dillard, bringing you guys another podcast. This is a brand new podcast series that we'll be doing. I decided to switch the Barn Has Spoken, or the that whole vibe and the whole Barnyard podcast, to the other channel. But this podcast will be called The Yankee Way, just like the channel is based. It's just going to be Yankee content, 110%. We'll probably rarely talk about anything other than Yankee content, because I just want to focus on that area of baseball, obviously. But I am here with my co-host for the first episode of the new Yankee Way podcast. Go ahead and introduce yourself. I know that they've seen you around before, but go ahead and do it anyways.
All right, my name is John. Number one Mike Ford hater. I'm not home right now. A hotel in the middle of nowhere. So it may be a little weird for me right now, but when I get home, it'll be better. So what were you saying?
Oh, I was saying, here we go again with the Mike Ford. You know how many times I tweeted about
Mike Ford hater, baby.
You know how many times I tweeted about Mike Ford and Luke Voit today? And I was like, do you remember when all the people decided that they wanted Ford to start over Voit, and then Voit?
Yeah, I know, crazy.
And then Voit, and then Voit just decided to screw around and say, you know what? I'm gonna lead the league in home runs.
Yeah, right.
Just
first one to do it since. First Yankee to do it since A-Rod in 07, and here we are.
It's impressive, man. I still have yet to understand the logic behind why people ever wanted Voit to be benched in favor of Mike Ford. I don't get it.
I don't even think Ford's defense is even that much better.
It's not worth it, and his offense isn't even close to the production that Voit had.
No.
You know, so it's like, it's a
lose-lose
situation.
Wants to write, it's because he's a lefty. Ooh.
Oh, yeah. You know how hard Yankees Twitter, nails in the coffin that they need lefty bats left and right, even if they're a underachieving athlete or having a below league average numbers.
No, my favorite part about that was, we need a left-handed bat. We need a lefty. Oh, let's go sign Brantley. We're going to go sign Paul Goldschmidt, and we're going to trade Luke Voit, and then we sign Brett Gardner. Everyone's like, oh, man, we need a left-handed bat. We just got one.
Before we start talking about the spring training game, I will say, I know a long time ago, because it's been a while since we've done a podcast together, but we talked about Brett Gardner and whether we wanted the Yankees to re-sign him. I said no, you said yes, because I wanted Jock Peterson, and then we didn't end up getting Jock Peterson, and then I said something on Twitter along the lines of, if Gardner gets paid more than Jock Peterson is, I'm going to throw a riot. I am going to be beyond livid. But Gardner got under the range that I wanted him to. I thought he was asking for way too much for his value, and they came out a compromise, and I think it was, $4 million? Was it $4 million
with the team club option for 23? And if they take the team and player option, I think if they take the team option, I think he has another option in 23. I could be wrong. It's one way or the other one.
Which I'm fine with that.
2 years.
Gardner was asking around $5 to $7 million, which I thought would have been an overpay, especially if he got $7 million.
38-year-old fielder with no job.
And the thing is, like, a lot of people, they say that he's elite defensively, which he is. But if you look at his numbers, if you look at his defensive numbers since 2017, he's slowly declining. His defensive runs saved are declining. His ultimate zone rating is declining. He's aging, and that's the whole reason why I want to give a guy like Clint Frazier more opportunities, because he's young.
He will.
He's got a lot of talent, and I don't know about you, but as far as I can tell, Clint Frazier looked very, very good out there. He seemed like he knew what he was doing. Believe it or not, we're going to talk a lot about overreactions. There were literally people on one of the occasions where Clint Frazier tried to throw one of the runners out at home. I think it was Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He had no chance of making the play, and people were expecting him to throw him out. I'm like,
no, I think the favorite part about that play was the part where he knew he wasn't going to get to the ball, so he tried to pretend like he had a play on it, but it didn't help. He was already off and running.
And then there was a play with Judge, too, where Judge just completely, wasn't able to get a ball, and people were, like, screaming their heads off. And I'm like, it's spring training, and I don't want him to get hurt. I don't want him to get hurt on the freaking spring training of a game that's meaningless over a ball that doesn't have any...
It's so bad. It's like the third pitch game into spring training. I'm not letting anyone dive for baseballs in spring training. I'm not letting anyone have a collision in spring training. Like, God forbid, like they don't take chances in spring training. Like this happens every year. Just leave it alone. Don't worry about it.
I completely agree. And then, a lot of people were complaining about Michael King. And, while Michael King had a really rough start, again, it's spring training. It's the first game. Although Michael King's changeup, if he gets that changeup working, he's going to be filthy.
That was the only pitch he could use.
I mean, there's a reason why he's been one of the best pitchers in the minors. I know the MLB is a completely different ballgame and story, but if he gets that changeup working and he's more consistent, he could be a dominant threat in the bullpen at least. I don't think I don't want him starting. I don't want him to be in the starting rotation. I want him to be a bullpen piece for like one inning or so. And then we could talk about Voit had an RBI, which to be fair was off error. Actually, it wouldn't be an RBI then if it was off error. But then we also had Brantley. Brantley came out, and it wasn't Michael Brantley. He had a 2-run home run. And then Mr. Talkman came out swinging, so they had back-to-back home runs.
Connected with the fastball.
Yeah, and didn't strike out at all. Mr. Mike Talkman struck out. Which one?
Did you see that home run?
Which home run?
That was a Greg Bird special.
Are you talking about the Mike Talkman one?
Yeah, that was a Greg Bird off the roof home run. That was a shot. I wish we had numbers on that one.
Yeah, he does. I mean, you're right about that. He does have a lot of really good stuff. His ground ball percentage, it's not as high as Zach Britton's, but he reminds me of another type of Zach Britton. So, but it's a good thing to have him. He got the job done. He didn't allow any runs. He had 2 strikeouts, though, even though he's more of a ground ball type pitcher. There's a lot to look forward to. And Warren, too. Warren had some potential, too. I mean, Warren came out in the 5th inning and had 2 strikeouts as well, so he showed potential as well. There's a lot to look forward to.
I mean, everybody looked pretty good. Everyone looked good except for Michael King. I mean, Michael King obviously had a bad day. He kind of struggled with command. That's okay. It happens, You don't have it every day. I thought Jachowski pitched very well. I thought he made only one mistake, and that was for some reason. He went 0-2 on somebody and just said, yeah, I'm going to throw a fastball down the middle now. I'm like, oh, no, don't do that.
Do you want to try and pronounce his name for me? Because I will fail again.
Yeah, Asher Wojciechowski. He was good.
Wojciechowski. Dude, that is tough to say. That is such a tough last name to say. So outside of this, let's also talk about like some of the overreactions. I know, obviously, I told you about the overreaction with Clint Frazier. I don't know if you saw some of the not Clint Frazier, but some of the overreactions with Gary Sanchez too. People are like, going 1, 2, 3, striking out. It's the same old Gary. He's not going to do jack this year. And I'm like, it's literally the first spring training game, guys. You're overreacting. We have Cole and Kluber pitching tomorrow, and I won't be surprised if somebody's like, oh, okay, Cole gave up 4 runs in a meaningless game. Let's pull him out of the game, and let's panic. Let's riot. Like, people are genuinely that serious. Like, if Cole or Kluber screw up, even when Kluber was giving up like a bomb, he gave up a bomb in spring training batting practice before the game started to Luke Voit, and people are freaking out about it. And I'm like, oh my Lord, what? There's no convincing you people. If you people want to be mad, you're going to find anything. You're going to cherry pick. You're going to nitpick anything to piss yourself off, and it's absurd. And they fail like literally. I'm like, do you people who've watched this team, because you do realize that this team has one of the best offensive lineups in the league. I don't want to as some of the best starting pitching in the league, with guys like Max Scherzer and DeGrom, even as elite as they are, if there's a few lineups that I don't want to face, and it's A, the Yankees, B, the Dodgers, and C, the Padres. I don't want to face them. I just don't. Straight up. Okay. Just leave me alone with those offensive lineups. Yeah, they failed him. That's why I said, like, earlier, like, it's like people love to nitpick Gary Sanchez in particularly. And it's just, I find it so ironic that a fan base could be so hateful and hostile toward a guy who, since 2017, leads all catchers in home runs and is a top 5 catcher in F4 and WRC Plus and WOBA and OPS and slugging. And you guys torment him and tear him down. I get he had a bad 2020 season, but who didn't have a bad 2020 season? Mike Trout came out and said he had a bad season, even though Mike Trout was around 167 WRC plus. That's pretty bad for his caliber. So what do you want Gary to do? I mean, are you not going to nitpick all the other people that did bad who are really good players in the league? Like Chris Bryant or Anthony Rizzo or Javier Baez or Christian Yelich had a bad season. I mean, what do you want him to do? What do you want him to do?
Did anybody else see Robinson Chirinos like completely fail to throw out Jonathan Davis?
Oh,
like such a late throw.
I was thinking because I saw someone on Twitter tweet about something about that, and they were like, if that was Gary Sanchez, he would have threw that runner out by a mile, like a country mile.
Easy. Like, Chirinos is a good catcher behind the plate. I don't like the guy because he talks trash about us, but like, good catcher, frame well. But, like, we'll call it a good game. But like, Gary will throw that guy out by a mile. Like, no chance. Next at bat. Have a nice day.
And obviously, Gary Sanchez is a much better hitter than Robinson Chirinos is. So I don't even have to tell you about that. I mean, that's kind of self-explanatory right there. If you don't know that, then you're living under a rock. It's as point blank simple as that.
Chirinos is a defensive catcher. Let's be real.
Yeah, he's a very good. He's a solid framer. That's the one thing that I will give him.
Didn't he have a pass ball today? I think it was a strikeout on a pass. Oh, it wasn't a strikeout. It was like ball 4, but it was like a pass ball that let the runner get to third, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yes, sir.
But, it wasn't Gary, so it's okay. He gets a pass.
No. If it was Kyle Higashioka, if it was Eric Kratz, if it was anybody else, they wouldn't have said a word. But anytime it's Gary Sanchez, the entire world is lit on fire. The entire world is just lit upside down. It never fails, man. It never fails. People hate this man. They despise him. It's so sad. It is so sad how much people hate this man for all that he has done for this team. Oh my God, whoop-de-doo. 2020 was a bad season. Who the hell didn't have a bad season in 2020? Like, come on now. Like, come on, people. I get it. It's more like, I want something now. Like, I want production now. You know what I mean? Like, you need to give me production now. But it's like, how can you ignore the fact that this man has been like one of the best catchers, a top 5 offensive catcher since 2017? Like, I get his defense is still suspect, but like, his offense has just been very, very, very good. It's very rare to have a catcher who hits at the level that he hits at. It just never fails, man. Like, I could literally sit here until I'm red in the face and talk about how much I love and support Gary Sanchez and how ridiculous I think it is that people tear him down for being a top 5 offensive catcher since 2017. But you know what? You can't convince people otherwise unless you see production. But then again, it's like 2020. Who cares? It was a fluke year. I'm not saying it didn't count, but it was 60 games. You can only put so much track record into 2020 season was 60 games. You know what I mean? Like, that's what's so important about baseball is you need those longer seasons. That's why baseball is such a big sport when it comes to sample sizes. Like, small sample sizes literally tell you nothing in this sport. Like, they can tell you a lot more in a sport like football, where there's only 16 games in a regular season for each team, through 17 weeks, right? And then you might play some playoff games if you get lucky, if you're a good enough team, maybe go to the Super Bowl. But it's such a much less smaller sample size compared to MLB. And even MLB is so much more massive than like sports like basketball. Like, you need a large sample size to accurately be able to not portray, but accurately be able to understand how well a player has been performing, whether he's actually a good hitter or he's a bad hitter. You can't put stock into 1 week, 2 weeks. You can't even put stock into a few months. I mean, even sometimes only a year won't even tell you enough. Sometimes you have to base off your conclusions or your data from multiple years, 2, 3, 4 years. That's why, when I compare players, I don't try to compare them from 1 year. I try to, compare them from 2017, 16. And that's why I think it's so important that we talk about Gary's numbers since 2017 and why it is important that he has been a top 5 offensive catcher since then, because it's a larger sample size. It's a much larger sample size, and catchers don't get to play as many games usually as, first base or second base or anyone in the outfield for that matter.
It's even worse like in football because you have 1 game eliminations, so you just kind of like, if you have a bad game, you lose, you're out. See you next year. Mm-hmm. But if you want to talk about people year to year getting worse, I mean, just go like Chris Davis, and all of a sudden he hit a wall, and that was it. As it turns out, he's not that good.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. It really is unfortunate because that man in his prime was insane.
Great guy.
Insane.
Terrible baseball player.
But I mean, I don't know. I don't know how he's going to turn that around. It's a really unfortunate story. It's very unfortunate for how the downward spiral that he has gone on just been bad.
I know, it's crazy. So what are you looking forward to in when's the next spring training game? It's tomorrow, right?
Yes, sir. I think we play the Tigers, the Detroit Tigers. What's that?
I'm looking forward to that game. Get Gary Cole pitching versus the Tigers, who probably have a lot of depth in their minor league system right now.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. I mean, I even said this earlier. I was like, if the Blue Jays put up 20 runs, I don't care. It's spring training, and I'm just glad baseball's back, and I'm just glad fans are back in the stands. Like that just made me so excited.
Did you hear that guy heckling Gleyber Torres, and then Michael K roasted him?
Yes, I did. And did you also hear that they were I don't understand, man. I don't understand. I swear people do not do the research. People do not do the research. And what I'm talking about is people were booing Gurriel Jr. They were booing the wrong Gurriel. That's not the right Gurriel. The right Gurriel is on the Astros, not the Blue Jays. What the hell are people doing? Like, hello?
I think they're bored. No, my favorite that was so on the radio call today, Mike Talkman hit the home run, and John Sterling's like, yes, he tied the game. I'm like, no, it's 5-4. he corrected. He's like, oh wait, no, it's 5-4. I'm like, no, it's not a tie game, John Sterling. I'm like, oh, we're getting started this year with John Sterling. I mean, look, he got it right. At least he called the home run correctly. He was like, it's gone. I was like, yes, it's the home run.
I love John Sterling. I love that man. He is so awesome.
I love him too. But it gets everything wrong. It's really funny.
The world is going to be in a more chaotic time once he finally decides to, retire from radio.
Yeah, we'll see.
So,
I think he was at the complex today. I could be wrong. I mean, it's good to see that him watching the game on the monitor versus being at the game has had no impact on him forgetting what the score is. Forgetting what the score is.
Yes, that is very true.
Poor guy.
Right, so, is there anything else you want to talk about, or did you want to go ahead and end it off there? I mean, we talked about quite a bit of content for today.
I'm excited to see Garrett Cole pitch tomorrow, and then give up 2 runs, and everyone's gonna crucify him. But whatever, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
For all we know, it could have been King trying to pitch, and as it turns out, it didn't work very well. We'll never know.
Yeah. So that will be about it from our podcast today. Hope you guys enjoyed. In the future, though, because there's certain circumstances, because John is in Virginia right now. I know the quality throughout the podcast, as far as his end, is kind of iffy here and there. But I do promise, and he probably promises too, that moving forward on episode 2 and onward, that his quality will be a lot better. It's only just this one time because he's traveling, so he'll be back home shortly. So I hope you guys, it's all right. I hope you guys are able to withstand that with some audio issues. But I think we talked about quite a bit. It's not the longest podcast that we've ever done, but I kind of want to keep it short and simple because there's really not too much to talk about outside of the game today. You can only talk about so much. So is there anything else you want to go ahead and tell the fans, or tell the subscribers of mine, tell the subscribers of yours too?
That catch that Alvarez made today was pretty dope.
Is that it? Anything else? Just that Alvarez's catch was dope?
Pretty dope.
It was pretty dope. It reminded me of what Gio Urshela did that one game against, was it the Rays? It was the Rays, right? Where he was in the dugout, partially in the dugout? It was the Rays. All right, I was right about that. I can't believe I remember that. I'm not as dumb as I think I am. I can remember things too. All right. Well, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast, and we'll see you guys again soon.